from his 11 days in the
Oh, I guess I should take this off if I'm not in
No,
Israel
leave,
anymore.
leave, leave your yarmulke on. No.
Oh, okay, sure, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I wear. I mean, I've always loved the Jewish people, but now I have a way of making it into a billboard how much I love them.
While
So
you were there, did anybody explain to you why they wear the yarmulke?
actually, no.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Wow. Well, Google it. Okay.
I mean, it has to. I know it has to do with they want to cover their head.
It's
Um,
religious. It's a
yeah,
religious thing.
yeah.
It's a religious thing. And it's the idea that when you go to synagogue or when you go to shul, that you respect for the presence of God and the holy place, that you cover your head. And women have to wear a veil. They should be
Yes.
wearing a veil.
Another major reason why it's worn is, at least in this modern age, it's not the main reason, but it's becoming a more popular reason, is because people want to show, look, I'm a Jew and I'm proud of it, and you'll
Right.
just have to live with that. It's a way, it's Jewish
Also,
pride.
right. Also for the guys, it's to cover up the bald spot. But anyway, speaking of a cultural thing, yeah, what you want to tell us about the films that you watched on the plane. I was
I
surprised. I would, folks. I was really surprised when he told me about this. I only fell off the chair. Okay,
I watched a Charlton Heston classic, Spartacus, even though it was the best movie he never was in. And I also
now this is a story about when I was walking along Hollywood Boulevard with Charlton, the real Charlton Heston. A fan came up and said, "Oh, Mr. Heston, I've seen all of your movies. You were wonderful in Spartacus." Now he was never in Spartacus, right? That was Kirk Douglas who was in Spartacus, right? But these people always get Kirk Douglas and Charlton Heston and Burt Lancaster all mixed up. So, what did you think of the movie Spartacus? Was this on your way over or on the way back?
my way over.
Okay, so what happened to Spartacus?
I thought it was a brilliant movie.
Hmm.
My take on it was a demonstration of true masculinity, what masculinity
Interesting.
ought to be. That was my take on it.
How so? How so? How so?
Well, it demonstrates, men not willing to be slaves. Demonstrates, well, I mean, the main central focus on the conflict is Spartacus leading a revolt against Rome. He's a slave, and he leads a revolt against Rome, and he does it to protect a woman, to protect his family, and he fights the death. It demonstrates. There's a lot of moments of self-sacrifice and courage. I won't give away, if you haven't, please see it. Oh my word, it was phenomenal.
Hmm.
Because I said it before, what I really enjoy in a movie is a character, who has their shortcomings and flaws, meeting an evil threat and rising up to the occasion. And this is a poster child of
Yeah.
what kind of,
No, I agree. Every Gen Z and every millennial should see this movie, and for one reason. Not only, as you say, it reminds us that human beings can give up all material luxuries and all material advantages of family and home and wealth and power. They can give all those things up for the transcendental value and principle of human freedom, and that's what that movie is all about. This is a man who led a revolution against Rome itself and nearly beat them, nearly beat them. And the end of the movie is something you'll always remember. Who is Spartacus?
yeah.
Who is Spartacus? Who is Spartacus? Who is Spartacus? And the reason why that is such a feature of the film is because the filmmakers wanted to have each of us answer, I am Spartacus. I am Spartacus.
It's interesting. Because I remember watching that and thinking to myself, this makes Cory Booker look even worse. Because in that there's a famous scene.
I don't think he ever saw the movie. He could not.
No, I don't think he did. I mean, I'll tell you this scene. That basically, the Spartacus and all his friends are captured. They're in the field, and the general, or a Roman consul named Crassus, played by Laurence Olivier,
Yes.
who truly steals every scene. I mean, a breathtaking act.
Yeah, he is. He really is. Larry.
No actor
Larry. He's called Larry. Chuck, you
yeah,
can call him Larry.
anyway, so Larry is like in front of the crowd of all the captured, slaves, revolting slaves, and says, "All of you will return back to slavery and not be crucified if you reveal Spartacus, who will be crucified.
Right.
Give him up.
Right.
And then, Spartacus is sitting there, realizes he has to do the right thing. He can't let his men go off to be
No,
crucified.
he's got to surrender. Yeah, he's got to
But
surrender.
right before he's able to do it, another man gets up and says, I am Spartacus. And then a man to his right says, I'm Spartacus. And then before you know, everyone's shouting, I'm Spartacus. Why? Because they cared about him. And they really believed that going back into slavery, it'd be far better to die protecting their friend. Versus Cory Booker, who's just trying to jumpstart his presidential run, which went nowhere.
But the other reason I've always thought, I've seen this movie many, many times. The other reason I think why it's such a poignant ending to the movie is because certainly Spartacus had the transcendental commitment to give up everything, including his family and then his life. And this is contagious. A young man texted me today. He's at a university in law school, and he was complaining about the fact that his teacher was a radical liberal lesbian, political correctness, and he was asking me whether or not he should stand up against her and file a complaint against her. And I said, by all means, grow a set of balls, child. And why are you letting this person dominate you? And why are you letting this person take away your freedom? And that's what Spartacus is all about not letting somebody else take away your freedom. And
now let me talk about the other movie on the way back.
Yeah.
This was Lawrence of Arabia.
I love that movie. I see it 5 times a year. I watch it 5 times a year.
You said 3 times last time.
Well, I'm being generous.
Anyway, I mean, another amazing movie. It was especially poignant because, it's a guy who unites Arabs to defeat the Turks, especially the Bedouin. We actually, part of our journey in Israel, we got to stay with the Bedouin tribe for a little bit. It was kind of a cool experience.
Really?
And, it was completely unrealistic. Not, first of all, you're never going to unite Arab people. Just stop. That's fiction. It's fantasy.
And Lawrence of Arabia shows you the roots of that division.
Oh, I know. And I mean,
yeah,
it's totally ridiculous. It wouldn't actually happen in real life, but it's cool. It's cute movie stuff.
Right.
But
and by the way, Lawrence was a British aristocrat soldier, a serving British officer who manages to unite the Arab world, the Arab leaders. He manages to unite them to take Damascus.
It's pretty good when all of your leaders are played by Englishmen. So
and one Frenchman. Was also screwing everything up. He's also screwing everything up.
But for this movie,
my favorite quote in the movie is when Lawrence is in talking to General Allenby, and the French ambassador is pacing up and down with his cane, and there's an American correspondent. And the American correspondent says, "Tell me, Ambassador, what's going on inside?" And the ambassador says, "Well, there are 2 angry men in there, and one of them is insane, and the other one is unprincipled, and I don't know which is which."
It's pretty much it. My overall analysis of the movie, I mean, aside from the fact, you can't, actors like that don't exist.
No.
A person willing to shoot on location with that many extras, no CGI, only practical effects and costumes.
Thousands.
No producer has those kind of balls.
No. Right.
And no music like that exists either.
No. No.
But you could, all that aside, the overall story, and by the way, that's true with Spartacus as well. The overall, I know we're running out of time. I'll make this quick. The overall, my conclusion on that story overall is that it was an identity story, where Lawrence is figuring out who he is.
He is, yes.
When he's wandering through the desert, there's this one person in a motorcycle who yells, "Who are you?" Mm-hmm. That's basically the story right there. Is he's figuring out, is he an Arab?
I don't want to give it away, but he does have a character change. He does morph from a man who didn't know who he was, and he becomes a monster, and then he realizes really who he is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So watch the scene. And by the way, there are a lot of YouTube videos that have cuts from the scenes, and please go to the YouTube and watch the bar scene. It's called the bar scene. When Lawrence brings in the young Arab boy who was fighting with his army, and Lawrence brings him into the officers' club in Damascus.
He almost like strangled the bartender and
Right. Anyway, we got one more thing to do in the series. You had an Armenian moment. So the last podcast we're going to do on your series, Alex, when we come back.
That's part of the whole trip.
Okay, great. So we're going to wrap this up. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, fans, liking, sharing, sponsoring us. We love you all very much. This is so interesting. I can't wait to start the next podcast. So goodbye.